Kia ora, good evening, and welcome to episode 104 of the Huddy Hui. Another jam-packed episode this evening, and we've got two guests on tonight as we approach round 4 of the Swindale Shield. And how important is it going to be for this side going forward? Oriental-Rongotai, 5-all against Upper Hutt in the weekend, and they came back to beat them in stunning fashion. And our first guest actually played in that game, and he was playing at first 5. Declan Hui is our guest on the Huddy Hui. Kia ora, Declan. Welcome for coming on the show this evening.
Nah, thank you. Thanks for having me, mate.
Let's review last weekend's game against Upper Hutt. The Rams were all over you in the first half. What caused the turnaround in the second half that resulted in what was a pretty impressive win in the end?
I don't know. Tough to put my finger on just one thing. I think we definitely took a lot of confidence into halftime. Kind of that really dominated play for that first 40 minutes. But going into halftime, we were only, I think it was tied up 5-all. You said. So we took a bit of confidence out of that, knowing that we could back our defense and we could withstand a lot of pressure. And then I think we were just a bit more patient with the ball in that second half and played territory a bit better than we did in the first half. But at the end, it still came right down to the wire. You know, one missed kick and it could have been a different story. So yeah, probably a bit lucky to get out of that one with the 4 points, but we'll take it.
It's the third game in a row. The game has been decided by a penalty or a missed penalty.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about the Rams and the Warriors at the moment, but it always seems to be a close battle. We've been lucky enough to come out on the right side of those all 3 times, but it's just bounce of the ball or luck of the draw kind of thing at times.
Now, one of your wingers last week has come back to the O-Tide this season. Herman Siu Mangawhangai, 2 tries, impressive tries in particular, 1 in each half. How great is it to have Herman back in the team?
Oh yeah, it's massive. He's a massive personality off the field as well. So he's good to have around training, but his talent, his potential, is through the roof. That guy, get the ball in his hands, and good luck stopping him. I'm glad he's on my team.
So 2 wins from 3 matches so far in the Swindale Shield. A great result against Parramatta Plimerton in the Jubilee Cup final rematch. But what happened in round 2 against Mara St. Pat's?
Well, MSP, there was obviously a windy affair. Oh no, not that windy. Sorry, wet affair. And they just played to their conditions. Really took their chances better. Took the points when they were on offer, and just played a lot better wet weather footy than we did. I think we were probably guilty of trying to play a bit too much footy an hour and a half, and MSP were just a better team on the day. Took advantage of that and were pretty clinical, to be fair.
We tried to get you on last year because you achieved a significant milestone for the Magpies. 100 games last year for the Magpies.
Yeah.
Who was the game against, and how special was the achievement for you?
It was actually against MSP in the, I don't know what you call it, quarterfinal, or the Jubilee Cup, Hardham Cup. I don't know, elimination. Elimination game. Yeah, quarterfinal kind of thing. And it was massive. It's taken me a bit longer than a lot of other people, and then I would have liked, but been a bit of a journey. Obviously, I started my my senior club rugby at MSP, and I went to school and have played a bit of footy with a lot of those Mara St. Pat's boys. So it was it was good to bring it up against them, and to get the win was even better, especially after they've kind of had the wood on us previous to that for the last couple of years. So it was it was big, and like I said, always good to get the result.
Last year, Ori's snuck into the Jubilee Cup playoffs, finishing 8th in the Swindale Shield. beating Upper Hutt in that
Yeah.
last round game. How special and tough was that Jubilee campaign when you're on the road for the whole time, playing from home? How tough was that?
Yeah, no, it was tough, but I guess I got to give credit to our fans as well. Like, even if we are away from home, a lot of those games they end up feeling like home games with the crowd we get following us. Especially that the second half of that Johnsonville game was something else. You know, that first half, the Javel were right on top of us in that, up on that hill. Felt like they were right on top of us, but then 20 minutes into that second half, our crowd just came alive in it, and it feels like a home game. So, it was very tough. Probably not ideal, but when it gets to those situations, it's just about taking it 1 week at a time and not worrying about whether you're home or away. I don't know.
And of course, that resulted in you guys winning the Jubilee Cup final against Parramatta Pliberton last year. How special was that win for you and the team?
Yeah, it was massive. I mean, especially halfway through the year, not many would have picked it. You know, didn't look likely for us a lot of the time during the season. So, yeah, it was huge. It was my first real Jubilee Cup, so it was massive. And just winning it, there's been a lot of great players and stuff that have come through, or is that they haven't actually won one of those trophies. So it's pretty special to be one of the lucky few. Yeah, and it was massive for the club and the community around as well, especially with our Colts and our Prem Reserves both taking out their grades as well. So it was a pretty special year for the club.
Probably explains why the club rooms are getting redeveloped.
Yeah, it's been a long time coming.
135 points in 2023, 301 career points altogether. Have you put away the kicking tee this season?
My teammates are probably hoping so, because although it sounds like a lot of points, I've had a lot of opportunities and I've missed some absolute sitters. But Alex has been striking them pretty well so far this year. So hopefully he keeps striking them well and I don't have to get it out. But I don't know, stranger things have happened, so you never know. Never say never.
Who are some of the characters in the team this year?
Well, as I said before, Herman, he's always loud and lively around training. Alex Rapetti, he's a big. Actually, both the brothers, they're real big voices in our team, big driving factors. I don't know. It's hard to single out any one name in particular. We've got a whole team of characters, really. Big George is always a personal favourite of mine. Siosi Lavia at number 8, or Sione Halalilo, the bad man, as we like to call him. He's always a good laugh as well. But it's, like I said, hard to single out one or two. I could go through the whole team.
Fetu Henry is the head coach this year. What has he brought to the team, and how special is it to have him in charge, since he has played well over 200 games for the Magpies?
Yeah, no, it's great having Fitz kind of officially as that head coach role. He's obviously, last year we had Mason as our head coach, but Fedu was also a big part of that. He was I think he kind of took the forwards, and he was a big part of the coaching group last year. And even when he was playing, he was a massive voice. And just when he speaks, he's just got so much respect from all the boys. And so when he speaks, he's not a man that of heaps, like many words. He doesn't speak too much, but when he does, everyone definitely listens and takes on board what he's saying. So yeah, it's been great. He's got a wealth of experience, and he's a great guy off the field as well. So yeah, can't speak highly enough of Fitz.
Now, you're the fourth player we've had on the Hui this year that simply can be described as a utility back. Now, in your case, you've played pretty much everywhere. You mainly started out as a halfback, but you've been playing fullback this season. What is your preferred position and why? Or do you get told where to go?
Yeah, I just get told where to go at this point, mate. So obviously, my preferred position probably is 9. Just because you're always in the game, always involved, and a big part of that is probably just where I'm most comfortable. A lot of familiarity at that position. So yeah, that would be my preferred position. But yeah, I've kind of just play wherever they'll take me. Yeah, it was 10 last week, 15 all last year, which was a first for me. Never played in the outside backs, but yeah, I'll take wherever I can get on the field. And with a guy like Isaac at the club, it's hard to get a spot over him. He's playing great footy, so if I can still get on the field, I'll take it.
We have Ben van Berkel on the show later tonight. His 50th Premier game is this weekend. When you play halfback, what's your banter like with the referees?
I'd like to say it's up there, but I'm sure the referees are probably happy that I'm a bit further away from the ball now. They probably prefer me playing at fullback because I'm not in the area all the time. But yeah, I'd like to think it's not bad, but I'm sure they might beg to differ.
Your brother Sean played for Oriental-Rongotai as well. Did you get to play alongside him?
Yeah, my first game was at the club was actually with him playing first five when I was halfback. Didn't work that well, so we didn't do that very often after that. But we did play a couple years. I think maybe 3 all up. He had a year or 2 off in between. But yeah, we got a few games in there together.
Now you've played for 4 different clubs, including a junior club, which we'll talk about soon. In 2012, you turned out for Marist St. Pat's, playing for mostly their Premier reserves, and you got a few games off the bench for the Premier side. Tell us about your time at Evans Bay Park.
Yeah, well, obviously going to St. Pat's Town was kind of a natural progression to go through the fence and over to MSP. So in 2011, went there and played Colts with a lot of my mates from school, and then at 2012, yeah, I think I actually started the first game that year, and we got absolutely smashed by OBU, and I was the only one that got dropped, and then they won every game for the rest of the year, I think. So they obviously pinpointed the problem. But no, I had a fair few years there. I think I left in, I don't know, yeah. But I really enjoyed my time there. A lot of good guys. Yeah, great club. Enjoyed my time there, and yeah, played some really enjoyable footy as well. So can't complain.
And actually, your junior rugby was played across the other side of the field at Kilburney Park. Tell us about your junior rugby time at Pornicky.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how that came about. I think maybe one of Sean's friends from school or something played there, so we just followed, and I just followed along with him. But yeah, it's, I don't know, enjoyable. I feel like I could have played for anyone at that age, and I would have loved it. But no, it was good. Met a few kind of lifelong mates there. Victor Groom being one of them, the mastermind behind Otide Showtime, Ori's live streaming thing. So I met few lifelong friends there. Jack Tolopapa, played some footy with Matt Proctor, a few other high quality players. So it was, I don't know, good place to start. But I guess, like I said, I could have played rugby anywhere at that age, and I would have loved it.
2015, you went out to Alston Park and played for Johnsonville. Tell us about your year out there for the Hawks.
Yeah, Been out there for a year. Followed my mate Mason Lawrence out there. A few of the other boys had gone out there a year or two earlier, and then I find they've been telling me to come along, and I'd kind of been putting it off in hopes that I'd maybe, I don't know, cement a starting spot at MSP, but wasn't to be. Couldn't get old Peter CSC out of there. Bit of a club legend, credit to him. So went out to Jabil and had a year there. It was a great year. Really enjoyed my footy out there, and I think we ended up losing to Upper Hutt in the Hardham Cup final that year.
That's right. Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was an enjoyable year. Yeah.
And how did the move to Ori's come about?
I don't know. There's probably a number of factors. Obviously, after that year at Jabil, Mason and Rory Kinikinilau left Jabil and they took up coaching position at Ori's. So they were trying to, bring me out, telling me to come along. And then I played a lot of Wellington Māori rugby with the likes of Feru, Tuakama, Andy Ellis, and also my brother was there. So they were all kind of getting in my ear, telling me to come along, and haven't regretted it once. Yeah, great decision. Haven't looked back since.
You're a product of St Patrick's College, Wellington, or known as St Pat's Town, from 2006, 2010. How was your time there?
Oh, yeah, loved it, mate. Yeah, it's great. Just going to school. Oh, not too sure that the teachers would have liked me too much or anything. A bit of a rat bag probably. But yeah, can't fault it enough. Met heaps of my good mates there, and still friends with a lot of those guys to this day. And yeah, loved it.
2010 was the 125th year of the college, and the first 15 that season was something special. A special team where some players have gone on to higher honours. Tell us about that 2010 team.
Yeah, special team, special players, man. I was hardly even in that team. I played a few games here and there, but I was mostly just as a squad member, but didn't actually get too much time. I was sitting behind old Jack Tolopapa at 9 and Callum Gill, one of the great forgotten stories in Wellington rugby. He was something special, that kid. But yeah, and then so those are just two of the probably lesser known names. But then there's obviously Matt Proctor, who went on to be an All Black. One game doesn't count. But Eric Sione, who was a bit of a prodigy in the front row. Donald Brighouse, who's still plying his trade for Moana Pacifica. Sosi Tuamavave, who I think he's had a few games for Southland, but he was a special talent as well, that kid. But we couldn't get the job done in the final. Credit to Silverstream, I guess, that year. But yeah, the one name that really sticks out there, probably a lot of people haven't heard, was Callum Gill. He was our first five, and he was a real talent, but had a lot of head knocks at a young age and stuff. But if you ask any of those boys from that team, they'll know what I'm talking about with him.
Only the 3 losses in 2010, Palmerston North, Wellington College, and then unfortunately the final. What did you learn from those games, particularly the final, where you went in as the heavy favourites?
Yeah, probably two of the biggest games of the year. The ones we always circle on the calendar is that the Wellington College traditional, and obviously if you're lucky enough to make it the final, and we've pulled up short on both of them, which is unfortunate. But I don't know. I guess that final, I wasn't really too much part of that team, so I can't speak for the other boys. But watching on it did seem a bit like maybe, I don't know, maybe the occasion might have got to them a bit. I don't know. It's hard to speak, seeing as I wasn't on the field for it. But I just watching it felt like Silverstream were a bit more up for the occasion, and just played kind of smarter footy, finals footy, which I guess maybe they're used to being there more often in those previous couple of years, or not too sure what it was, but yeah, they just played more clinical footy, right areas of the field, kept it tight, especially being a night game, which we definitely weren't used to. Most of us still aren't used to, but ball's a bit, wetter, bit wetter underfoot. So playing territory is probably a bit of a smarter idea, which we struggled to do.
What other representative teams have you played for?
Not many. No. When I was at Marist, I played for the New Zealand Marist Colts, and they went on like a tour of the East Coast, which was a mean trip. Or like that's always a good trip. And then after that, just Wellington Māoris since then. First year for them would have been maybe 2014, I think. Yeah, 2014, and then in 2015 I played for Horowhenua-Kapiti in the Heartland Championship.
The club rooms are currently being upgraded. When will the club rooms reopen, and what unique things are being done to redevelop it?
You're asking the wrong guy there, mate. I'm not too sure. There seems to have been plans for those club rooms for the last 5 years or so, and can never really get a straight answer about what is going on there. But yeah, I'm not too sure. Sorry, I couldn't tell you.
That's all right. What do you do during the week?
I'm a Sparky electrician for NME. I actually work with old Tynan Barrett, who I was marking on Saturday. So that's a good one. Bit of a workplace banter on the field.
I imagine pretty good off the field too while you're working.
Yeah.
This week, or this Saturday, you're back at home. You're playing the Avalon Wolves, who are currently winless this season. How's the team approaching this game, and what do you have to watch out for with the Wolves?
Just the same as any other week, really. We always say, our skipper Pingy always says, the most important game's the one in front of you. Can't be worrying about next week or anything like that. You just got to worry about Saturday and do our job there. I know, like you said, they're winless, but man, last couple of years they've been a lot tougher task than maybe their position on the table would suggest. Like I remember last year, I think we might have even been down at half time. We might have snuck away with a 15-point victory or something, but they've really, they're a lot tougher task than they have been previously. I think they haven't watched too many of the other games, but just from years previous, I think they're always tough, big, physical team. Always a sore body afterwards, no matter what the score is. Hopefully I can stay out of that and let our big boys do all the tackling for me. But I don't know, just expecting a tough physical battle. And I'm just expecting them to bring it from that first minute right to the 80th. They're always a never say die kind of team as well.
Declan, it's been fantastic having you on the Huddy Hui tonight. All the best for the weekend and the rest of the year. We'll see you around the traps.
Thanks, mate. Cheers. Thanks for having me.
That is Declan Hui from Oriental-Rongotai. What an impressive career he has had with Oriental-Rongotai. Played for a few clubs, but 100 games last year, a special moment for him as well. Now, earlier this week, I caught up with Ben van Berkel, Wellington Rugby referee, former Wests Premier player. He is refereeing his 50th game this Saturday, and in the off-season, the Referees Association changed their rules about when a referee at the Premier level gets a blazer It used to be 100, and Ben is going to be the first one to get 50 Premier games in a blazer. Ironically, the one that initiated the change. So, earlier the week, I caught up with Ben and a good insightful interview about him as a person, but also his background in rugby and how he's still heavily involved in the game today. So this is Ben van Berkel preparing for his 50th game. We're here with Ben van Berkel. Ben van Berkel, one of the premier referees in Wellington, who achieves a significant milestone this Saturday, bring up his 50th game. So Ben, many thanks for coming on the Huddy Hui tonight. Why the change to 50 games? Because for a long time, the milestone to get your Premier Blazer is 100 games. Why the change?
Yeah, when I joined the Wellington Referees Executive a couple of years ago, I led a piece of work around our recognition and rewards policy because I felt it was out of date and it hadn't been reviewed in a number of years. And when I looked into it, I worked out that 100 Premier games refereeing on average would take kind of 10 to 12 years, and yet all the other clubs around the region had blazer games at anywhere between kind of 50 and 25 to 50 games, so which in some cases is a year and a half. So I put a paper together for the exec and put the pros and cons and compared that against other large provincial unions around the country, how their referee associations recognise their premier referees, and got accepted to change it to 50. So we're just in the process of contacting anyone else at the moment from our referee association who's already hit that mark.
Yeah, that leads me on to that question. You already have premier referees, past and present, that already gone over the 50 game mark. How far are you going to go back in particular? Is there a restriction that the executive have laid out?
Yeah, I mean, like quite a few people have already got their blazer as well. I think it's 6 Centurions that we have, and we have, I think it's about 12 other people who've either currently or finished their career with 50 to 100 games. So the exec sat down recently and kind of come up with a criteria around who's eligible for the blazer and who's not, and like factors are they still refereeing, yes or no? If they haven't refereed or contributed to the association in a long time, then that is kind of less likely to be eligible for their blazer. But at the same time, we want to make sure that everyone who has contributed largely in a big way is really recognised for the service they have done. So we'll be reaching out to, I think it's 9 referees in the next week, offering them a chance to have a blazer.
So this Saturday is going to be your 50th and blazer game. How special will the occasion be for you and also your family?
Look, it hasn't been an easy road, that's for sure, but I'm really looking forward to it. Been refereeing, this is my 11th year in the Premier panel since 2019. Just really excited to get out there, have some fun, facilitate and enjoy a game of rugby. In terms of my family, unfortunately my mum's currently got a back injury, so my parents can't make it down. But I should have a couple of family members there, and it'll be awesome to enjoy it with them and some other friends and people who have been a significant part of my refereeing career.
What were the challenges when you referee Premier Rugby compared to the other grades of rugby in Wellington?
It's easy to say that you just go into any game kind of thing and treat it the same. But obviously, there is a different level of scrutiny, I suppose, with Premier Rugby, because they are all filmed, and a lot of the clubs tend to take, that is their number one team. And I remember one example, a former Premier referee got hit up by one club who said, you like 13 other clubs on Facebook, but not ours. Why not? So that's the kind of thing that some clubs can kind of look into when you're about to referee them. But at the same time, it's a privilege to represent WRA in terms of being a referee in one of the figurehead competitions in Wellington and New Zealand. You go out there and you chuck on that jersey with pride and enjoy the communication with both the ARs and the teams. Try and have a bit of banter and enjoy it as much as the players.
Let's talk through your preparation in the lead up to refereeing a Premier game in the week. Mostly you find out your appointment either Monday, Tuesday, but what happens in the lead up during the week up to Saturday?
Yeah, I'll probably start on a Sunday where I'm actually reviewing the game I did on a Saturday. That can take a couple of hours when I'm watching the video of the game, recording what decisions I made, whether they were right or wrong, doing my game review, clipping some video for myself, my coaches, other level 1 and 2 referees, and my assistant referees. On the Monday night, we'll get together or every fortnight as a Wellington association, cover off different TED topics. For example, this week was any game refereeing, led by Jack's Argentina, just kind of going through the pressure and what changes towards the end of the game and how to make sure that you are staying focused and what triggers you need to have in place to manage those last kind of 10-20 minutes really well. I typically get my appointments on Tuesday, and from there I know exactly what's going on. So for example, this weekend it's Tony vs Chavel, and on Thursday I will send out some comms to my two assistant referees. Throughout the week I'm doing a bit of exercise, a bit of running, and go to the gym, trying to stay fit, avoiding all the bad food, which is not something I'm particularly good at, but look, we've got to live as well. And then, the Friday I'm getting my kit bag ready, making sure that I've got, Thursday, got my game plan ready, setting out the comms, the ARs. Friday, getting all my kit bag ready, checking if I've got a leave pass from my fiance. Often she'll describe herself as a refereeing widow throughout the winter season because, like I say, it does take up a bit of time. But get to the ground normally in time for a 1 o'clock kickoff to watch a bit of the Colts and Prem 2 games if they're at the same ground or whichever game is on the field before you. Set up the comms on ASAP so I can leave them in peace and also have my own time for a good 45 minutes before kickoff, and then it's warm-up time, and it's just go time out on the field, blow the whistle and we're away.
What has been your most memorable game that you have refereed to date?
Arguably the very first one I did. I still remember it. You were actually there, Brad, as the new referees coach. Normally with new referees, they chuck you, or they don't appoint you to anything until kind of the college season. But I remember they were short in early April, so I was given a Prezzies game. And with most Prezzies games, the only person who doesn't matter on the field is the referee. So this was at Lyndhurst Park, Tower vs North. And I still remember going up to the front rows, just trying to have that front row talk, and they just laughed at me saying we don't push in the scrums. But I just got blown away how quick it was kind of thing and how difficult refereeing was, because things just happen very quickly, and you're making all these split-second decisions, and people arguing with you and all sorts. But it was just a blur, to be honest. But yeah, like I say, I had yourself there. I think it was Mark Fairmaid, Mel Swartfigure, quite a few people there supporting me. So that was great.
I'm going to ask you, what has been your most challenging game in your refereeing career? Because you mentioned about the management. Sometimes you get those moments where you get challenged quite a lot.
Yeah, probably my first Jubilee Cup game a couple of years ago. Huddle Boys versus Poneki. Huddle Boys won that by about 4 points, I think. But that was a kind of a tight struggle throughout, and there was a lot of management going on in the end, towards the end. And I remember there was a couple of contentious decisions, and right at the end, I awarded a penalty to Huddle Boys, and they just had to tap it and kick it out. But they kind of fumbled it backwards, and then kicked it out. And then there was a bit of a melee afterwards, bit of push and shove. And that's just where you've got to make sure that you are staying on top of those things, because it can escalate really quickly. But part of that is also being empathetic to the players and the situation, and trying to build that relationship with them throughout the game, or before and throughout the game, to get some relationship credits in the bank, so to speak, for when times do get tough.
Where did your junior rugby begin? Because I believe you're from the Hawke's Bay, and that's where you grew up.
Yep, born and raised in Hawke's Bay, a little place called Bayview, just north of the airport, which meant I started playing for SQ rugby when I was 5. It was about a 2-minute drive from home down at Patani Domain, and played all my junior rugby for SQ. Love that it's kind of a semi-rural country club. Had a lot of fun with them, and learnt the way. I kind of started. Well, I mean, everyone's running around like headless chickens when they're kind of 5, 6, 7 years old. I always claim that I started as a fullback, but as the years developed, I just got closer and closer to the action, and then got stuck in the front row. By the time I was kind of under 11, under 12s. But hey, look, I've got no problem admitting I'm a front rower, and whether that's a proper rocker throughout my senior days as well. It teaches a lot of skills, the dark art, so to speak.
We'll come back to the question around the dark arts very soon. But you're a product of Napier Boys High School. Tell us about your time there, and what was the highest team you played for at the college?
Yeah, I was at Napier Boys from 99 to 2003. At the time, our first 15 was very successful, won a couple of national titles. At one point, I think it was 2001, our whole forward pack was also the Hurricanes school forward pack. Joe Smith was a coach there at the time. Apparently he's gone on to be a half-decent coach at a couple of different places. But for me, most of my time was spent in the second and also the third 15, which was affectionately known as the Grassrooters 15. But I did go on a tour with our first 15 to South America in my 7th form year. Played 7 games over there throughout 4 weeks, and great experience. Rugby is a very upper-class sport in South America. So when we were kind of billeted out, I remember one in Argentina, we had, an in-house chef, and you were just told if you're hungry at any point in the night, just call him up. So you kind of get the midnight munchies and call him up, and he'll cook you up a steak. And it was a great experience, and everyone's quite small over there in general. So everyone thought the whole touring party was kind of in their early 20s, so had a couple of beers and all sorts, and shouldn't really admit that, but had a lot of fun for that way.
Yeah, those were the good old days, weren't they? So,
yeah.
So why the move down to the capital city after your college years?
Started down here 2004. I moved down here for uni. I was here, came down to study marine biology. Started then in 04 and got my master's in 07. Did half a master's in Wellington and half in Sydney. So initially before I moved down to Wellington, I moved into Vic House. And growing up on a lifestyle block in Napier, you're just used to having, green grass and plenty of land everywhere. So moving into a shoebox at kind of Vic House was a shock to the system. But it was a great experience. Week, touring the town and doing all the different pubs and that kind of thing and meeting everyone. And that just kind of evolved from there throughout uni, and you make some friends for life and rugby friends for life as well. Even in Sydney when I moved over there. So Wellington's home now, and I bought property down here 10 years ago, so I definitely call Wellington home.
Now, of course, you're a prop turned rugby referee. There was always hope out there for front rowers to continue running after their playing careers, and they've been.
Yeah, I mean, like front rowers are typically the best looking players anyway. They put in the least effort with the makeup department, unlike the wingers and the first fives and that kind of thing. But like most front rowers, fitness was never my most favourite thing when I was playing. But, you get away with it, and you have a pie before the game to carbo load, and you just go from there. When I moved into hooker, I kind of had to get a little bit fitter because they're a bit more dynamic and have to get around the field a bit more. But I fell in love with refereeing after I kind of finished playing. With running. Lost a lot of weight through running and did a couple of marathons. And that definitely helped my refereeing. But I was refereeing for a couple of years before I found that love.
I see in the background, there's a picture of you there. Is that you doing a marathon? Which one is that?
Oh, yep. That's me running the Taranaki Marathon, probably about 2016, that one. Back when I was skinny and could run at quick pace or run 42 Ks for shits and giggles.
Yeah. Prop can do a marathon after all, can they? So now between 2006 to 2013, you played your rugby for Western Suburbs, the West Roosters. How was your time there playing for the Roosters out at Ian Galloway?
Yeah, I loved it. My very first game there was 2004 when I started. A mate from Vic House had a mate, his brother was already playing for West, and it was a trial game, so I was told a couple of hours before, why don't you come along and play? And I got injured in that very first game, tore my labrum, and didn't play again in 2004. But that game was a culture shock because coming from Napier Boys, where it's a predominantly like a Pakeha school kind of thing, and in the showers afterwards, no one's drinking beer or that kind of thing. It's a completely different environment going from a Pakeha school into a multicultural senior club. But yeah, played Colts there 2005. Had a great team. I remember Scott Crichton, our coach, got on really well with him, and another ex-prop, of course, and he'd always pick me up, take me to practices, and since he played 100 games for the Lions, he got season passes to the Hurricanes and the Lions, and he'd always give me his season pass, so that was cool to go along and enjoy some free rugby. But yeah, I made my premier debut in 2006. One vivid memory I have of that game is Fila Tiutia came back to play his 100th game, and he was playing, and James Annabelle was the hooker at the time. But he was Mole, as he was known. He was moving to Taranaki, so I was kind of shoulder tapped to take his spot, and I came on late in the second half for my debut, and very first thing I had to do was throw the line out to Fila Tiutia. And that's not something I thought I'd ever be doing, but I nailed that first one. One of the few I probably did nail, but From there, yeah, I was pretty much a fixture in the Premier team up until 2013. 2013, I fell out of love with the game, to be honest. I didn't enjoy the Tuesday, Thursday practices, Saturday games, feeling old on the Sunday. So I kind of stepped away from the team. Didn't play rugby for a good month or two. And then just started playing socially for a mate's team in reserve grade. And towards the end of that season, I remember I played for seven different teams over 7 different weeks, just playing wherever anyone needed me, including a couple of games up in Napier.
Of course, the West Roosters have a very strong junior level, but at the senior side, they've sort of been struggling. I think they've only got one team this season. Is there a chance that they can rebuild that club? What do you reckon?
Oh, look, I'd like to think so, because as you say, they've got a very strong junior club and a massive catchment pool, with Karori being one of our largest suburbs in Wellington. But a lot of the junior club, once they go off to secondary school, like if they go to Cole, they'll often play for OBU after they've finished at Cole. If they go to town, they'll often play for MSP afterwards, or Rongotai, all these kind of things. So West don't have a connection to a college, so to speak. But as you say, they've only got one team, which is the reserve grade team. 2013 was the last year West had the Premier team. After they dropped away from Premier in 2014, I think it was one Prem reserve team and a couple other senior teams, and sadly, just as a lot of clubs are experiencing, participation is dropping away in the core kind of 15-a-side senior game at the moment. So the reserve grade team is still there, but the 85s team is no longer. The Prezi's team, the Prem 2 team, then the first grade team, or whatever it was called back in the time. But hey, look, you look at other clubs like the Axemen, for example. They were really struggling a few years ago, going back maybe a decade ago, but they built themselves back up into a Premier side with quite a number of senior teams again. So never say never, but just I'm not sure how that's going to happen, to be honest.
What was your best moment for the West Roosters at Premier level?
Hey, look, I played with some great people, like a Kane Thompson, Luke Marnie, Scott Fugastola, Toby Robson, Scotty Layden, Ace Tiatia, Philo Tiatia, Natano Tiatia, Alamo Ramia. It was all great kind of playing with them, but one random specific memory I have was would have been about 2010. Luke Marnie was playing for the Hurricanes at the time as their kind of backup hooker, and he came back to play club rugby, but I kept him on the bench. I was like, I'll take that for the win. But then during that game, I was playing against Jeremy Thrush. He was playing for Hard Old Boys, and I'm not sure how I did it, but I threw like the perfect line-out ball where it went just over Jeremy Thrush's fingers into our jumper's fingers, Hamish Irving, I think it was. And it's just one of those, how did that kind of happen memory. So yeah, that's probably one of my favourite memories. Or I remember getting a try on our Old Timers Day. I didn't score many tries, but I ripped the ball out of it. I think it was a Petone maul and flopped about 5 metres over the line.
Oh, brilliant.
So no, there was plenty of good memories, but shit, seems a long time ago now.
The front row are well known as having words of wisdom at scrum time. You mentioned about the dark arts. How do you relate that, being a former front rower and you're refereeing now? What's your chat like with the front rowers at scrum time?
Yeah, I'm all into the chat if I can, and obviously they'll tell me what's going wrong or what the opposition are doing illegally, and I'll typically just laugh it off because you've got to trust your own pictures. And after having 20 odd years in the front row, I probably do have better scrum pictures as a referee than a lot of the other referees do. So in terms of the dark arts or the chat, like I say, I try to build that relationship before the game, and after 50 odd games, you know the props pretty well, or at least the journeyman. So you can have a bit of bands with them or try and establish that relationship and get that buy-in with them. But like the dark arts is when someone's got heaps of stubble and they're trying to rub it all over the other person, or the bind is a little pinch underneath the armpit, or they're just boring in, the arse is coming out, that kind of thing. So the banter, look, you allow it because it's part of the game, as long as it doesn't go too far. Even partake in it if I really feel like it, but it's more, you just trust your instincts and call the picture as you see it, really.
Now, how did you become interested in rugby refereeing, and how did you find the transition from playing to being a referee?
Yeah, I was always a bit of a yappy front rower, as you kind of already touched on, and I was always giving plenty of referees advice back when I was playing. I was looking at a list of referees that that refereed me when I was playing, and it includes the likes, David Walsh, Mike Fraser, Garrett Williamson, Gordon Noble Campbell, Brent Murray, Hamish Mexted, Scott Sargentina, Richard Gordon, Vinnie Ringrose. So it's cool. Now I'm still interacting with a lot of those people and the shoes on the other foot. But I would have hated to be refereeing me because I was always kind of yappy and taking the piss out of referees and that kind of thing. So when I fell out of love with the game in 2013, I thought I still wanted to be involved, but not have the commitment of a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. So at the start of the 2014 season, I reached out to a family friend, Gary Wise. He was a ex-professional referee based out of Hawke's Bay, and his advice was just give it a go. It can't hurt. And I was like, shit, he's actually got a point. If I don't like it, I can just stop, but nothing ventured, nothing gained. I might as well give it a go. And I reached out to the Wellington Rugby Referees Association on their Facebook page, said I was interested, and Mark Fairmaid, who's still heavily involved now, he's currently our president, he reached out to me, he gave me a call and kind of spoke me through how it all works as a first year, and I spoke about my playing career, and he goes, okay, no, well, that's a good start for a referee, you should know the laws. And yeah, after Mark reached out to me, I went along to a couple of TED sessions, and that, like we've already touched on, you were running the first year group that year, Brad, and there was about 1,000 of us, I think. So it was great to have those weekly meetings, just learn the intricacies of refereeing, taking it slowly, and you slowly pick up different habits and improve along the way with plenty of support. And you get some pretty sweet gear to referee in, and like I say, there's a great support network there, and look, it definitely does have its challenges. I can't deny that. Whether it's a bit of sideline abuse, particularly at the college or junior level, or some foul play at the senior level, that kind of thing, or some testy characters. But at the same time, like it does help you build resilience and arguably it improves you as a person. To teach you some great life skills. Gives you time and space to think about decisions, which you can bring into real life situations. So definitely no regrets in terms of giving it a go, and I'd fully encourage anyone else who is thinking about it.
Refereeing, also, you have a mentor that works with you. Who is that mentor or that one person that's helped you in your journey so far?
Biggest influence in my refereeing career would be Warren Cornell, or Q for short. He's a long time coach down in Wellington. He's recently moved up to HK because he lives in Pycock. But I've been working with him since about 2017, I think. And he doesn't come to a lot of my games, to be honest, but he's the kind of person that will just challenge your thinking and make you come or work out the answer yourself without actually knowing that he's helped you work out the answer. So no, we've worked really well together, and I owe a lot to Warren. Normally every year I bake him some cookies and that kind of thing because that's the way to his heart, or just chuck him a bit of kit or something. But he's worked really hard with me, and I'd definitely say I'd like to think it's a mutualistic relationship where he helps me a shit ton with refereeing, but I think I help him, whether it's assessing his Tinder dates these days or anything else. So with the cookies, and look, we catch up very regularly over a coffee or a beer, and he's definitely more of a father figure now than a mentor, but very thankful for him.
Lucky his username's not Q for you, isn't it? So, you've got a degree in marine biology, but you work for New Zealand Rugby. What is your role within the rugby union, and what do you do?
When I graduated, I had all these big plans of being a marine biologist because it's something I've always been passionate about. I love the ocean and I love fishing. But when I graduated was when Ministry of Fisheries and Ministry of Forestry merged into MPI. So there was basically no jobs in the market. So I just took my first job, was working for police in their professional standards, looking into allegations of inappropriate police behaviour, basically. And I was at police for 7 years in a number of roles, and from there I moved into contact energy for 3 years as a health and safety analyst. And now I've been at Rugby for coming up 4.5 years. My job title is participation analyst. So I work out how many players, coaches, referees, admins around the country, break that into the different provincial unions, and the different demographics, and work out where we need to invest money to get new players into the game or retain players, and work out the kind of experience our players, coaches or volunteers are having to try and increase retention, which is something that we're all trying to do, which means you're having a better experience, you're more likely to come back the next year. Outside of that, there's a bit of a financial component to what I do, and jack of all trades as needed.
Now, you mentioned about participation. What is the number of referees in Wellington like for season 2024? Because there's a few provincial unions that have already put out the pleas for helping with refereeing, particularly down at Otago. They put a social media message out about 2 weeks ago saying they're in danger of not covering all their games. So what's the numbers like in Wellington?
Wellington, look, we're still always looking for more referees. This year, I think we're in the mid-70s. But ideally, you want about 100, to be honest, because particularly when college starts in a couple of weeks, there are a good 100 games of rugby to cover every week. So, even though 75, we're doing okay now. Once the rugby picks up, we definitely need more. And like I've already touched on, a lot of people think why they shouldn't be a referee. To me, I'd just like to flip their thinking and say, why should they be? Instead of being those keyboard warriors thinking that decision was wrong when they're watching, Super Rugby or the All Blacks, come and we can educate you around how to make those decisions. And it literally is the best seat in the house. It's the old corny line, but you're within kind of 10 metres of the action the whole game. You're hearing those big hits. You're seeing the great play, the great pass, or the chip and chase. And you're right there in the crunch situations. Hopefully not having anything to do with the outcome, but you are facilitating a game. You're out there enjoying it just as much as hopefully the other 30 players are.
There are some new rule variations in grassroots rugby this year? What are some of those that are happening in Wellington?
No, to be fair, the only change this year is the 20-minute red card. So anyone who is red carded can be replaced after 20 minutes. It's the same law that's been in Super Rugby for a couple of years now. But last year there was a couple of changes, particularly some are just law changes, and then there's like also experimental law variations, or New Zealand Rugby has their own experiment domestic safety laws. So last year, the likes of a halfback can't go past the tunnel to scrum. Personally, I really like that idea. It frees up the number 8 or the halfback to have some space and not be hounded by the defensive 9. The big change that everyone was talking about was the sternum tackle. The first player has to tackle below the sternum. That's just to promote the belly tackle, so to speak. And that's a player safety measure, which got a lot of negative feedback when it came out, but everyone's kind of embraced it now, and it's happening across the world. So I think it's been successful. The stats are, there's less concussions and less injuries, that kind of thing, and teams and referees have adapted to that change. So, I think you never want to put too many law changes in, but you do have to change some things to adapt to, trends in the game or to make it more attractive.
And what would be one law that you would change and why?
It doesn't happen so much in club rugby, but I hate it in Super Rugby and international rugby, the caterpillar at the back of the ruck.
Oh, yeah.
Where you'll have a ruck and then you can have, 3 guys caterpillaring, is that a word? Attaching to each other behind the ruck. And that just gives the box kick, the 9 a lot more time for the box kick. So to me, I'd either remove the ability to caterpillar or change it from 5 seconds to 3 seconds when the ball's clearly won, just to speed up the game and make it a bit more contestable.
This Saturday, you have Batoni versus Johnsonville for your 50th appearance. You've already had Batoni this season. Your thoughts on this round 4 match, because this looks like it's going to be a bit of a beauty of a match.
Yeah, no, as you say, 2 good teams going at it. Weather forecast looks good, touch wood. So when I had Batoni round 1 versus Tawa, it was even for the first 50 minutes, and then Batoni got 3 quick tries and ended up winning 37-10. But they were pretty well drilled. One thing that first game was the scrum was really solid. Tawa versus Batoni. I had 1 reset and 1 penalty, I think it was. So I'm expecting a good upfront battle, because watching Campbell Barry's game when he did Javel versus the Axemen last weekend, Jay will definitely attack the scrum, so I'm expecting a good battle there. But you look at the Batoni backline that they had last week, it was I think quite a few Super Rugby players, and so obviously they'll want to provide a good platform for them, but that just means the forwards have to lay that platform. So I know Jay will play a really wide game. They're not the biggest of teams, but they're really fit, and they'll often play side to side, try and run around teams, not through them. So it's a challenge for me just to keep up with them and make sure I'm there to make the decisions. But I've got a good relationship with both teams. I know, in terms of Jable, Jason Adamson used to coach me at West, and I used to play with Dallas, their assistant coach. Just as at Batoni, I know Fridge quite well, and I work with Cam Prouting and Ezra, their manager. So I've got a good relationship with both teams, and it should be a ding-dong battle. Like I've touched on it, I want to have as little to do with the outcome as possible, but just help facilitate some run rugby and let the players, myself, and the fans enjoy it.
Ben, it's been fantastic having on the Hui tonight. all the best for your game on Saturday and being the first referee Wellington to get a blazer at 50.
Thank you very much. No, cheers for your time, Brad. Appreciate it.
So that was Ben van Berkel. What a significant milestone for him this coming weekend. And it's going to be vitally important for him to make sure he enjoys the occasion. But speaking of which, it's round 4 of the Swindale Shield, and we're going to preview these games. There's quite some interesting blockbusters up here for the Swindale Shield. So let's look at the first game. This is Huddle Boys Marist against the Billy Goats out there at the Hut Rec, the first home game for the Eagles. They're taking on the Billy Goats, who had a 21 points to 7 lead at half time against Petone last week, end up losing 40 points to 29. So the Billy Goats will be looking to get back onto the winning streak. Now, Huddle Boys Marist, they've had 3 pretty comfortable games. The X-Men first up and then Avalon. And so they'll be looking to continue on their winning ways, the Eagles. They've been pretty impressive so far. At home at the Hut Recreational Ground, I'm picking it will be the Eagles. That will be the victors in this game. Now, you'll be able to catch Hut versus Old Boys University on Te Puka o Te Ika Radio. So there's 1161 AM and 87.6 FM, and also the Whare Korero app. You can download that on any of the apps there. Te Puka, they do a good job on the radio commentary, and it'll be Gordon Noble Campbell that will have the call on that game. Second match is Marist St. Pat's versus Wainui Amata. Marist St. Pat's are in fine form. Alongside Huddle Boys Marist, the two Catholics are the only undefeated teams in the competition so far. Wainui Amata have had a narrow loss to Pōneke last week, and then they had a big loss to Old Boys University. Marist St. Pat's are showing real signs of being one of the teams to watch out for this season. So I'm picking the City Catholics in this game, the victors there. That'll be a battle between 2 versus 10 on the table. Next up, out at Jerry Collins Stadium, is Norths versus the X-Men. Now, the X-Men, of course, except for round 1 where Huddle Boys gave them a bit of a tidy up. Last week they had a high-scoring affair with Johnsonville, so already showing a sign that they can play on a dry track. Norths at home is always tough, and I suspect Norths will be the victors at home in this match. Norths currently sitting in 12th on the table, and the X-Men 14. Our guest Declan Hay will be turning out for Oriental-Rongotai this weekend as they take on the winless Avalon Wolves, who are currently 13th on the table. As Declan said on the broadcast before, you can never take the Wolves lightly, and in particular, the Wolves will step up for this game. They always like the good physical battle against the Magpies, but I'm picking the Magpies in this one at home at the Polo Ground. Next up, this is always a real good match here between the Street Kids, and they call themselves the Wolf Pack. It's Pōneke versus Tawa. Now, Pōneke at home, narrow win over Wainui last week. Tawa had a very high scoring game with Marist St. Pat's, and that lead seesawed a lot in that game. Tawa beating Parramatta Plymouth, just their only win of the season so far, but I'm going to go Pōneke in this one. I didn't pick them last week. I've picked Wainui to beat them last week, so I'm going to go Pōneke on this one to win this game. Next up, well, this is another match. You know, round 1 of the Swindale Shield last year, this was an impressive game, which resulted in Parramatta's only loss of the first round of the Swindale Shield last year. The Upper Hutt Rams, of course, 5-all at half-time against Oris, and then lost at the end last week. So they'll be hurting. They won't be without Sino Sinelli. Last Thursday, he got called up to the New Zealand under-20s squad. So congratulations to Sino, alongside Stanley Solomon, who's also in that squad as well. Parramatta Plymouth, a big win last week against the Avalon Wolves at home. And they've turned Ngāti Toa Domain into a bit of a fortress out there, and it is a tough ground to play at. The crowd is right around the edges, and I'm probably going to go the home side on this one here, Parramatta Plymouth, to win this round 4 fixture. Now, coming up to this game here in particular, this is the game that we'll be live streaming this weekend. It's the home side Petone taking on Johnsonville. Anything to go by last year's game, which I think from memory was round 2, Petone only snuck home late in the piece. Then, of course, Johnsonville was one of those fairy tale stories last year, qualifying in the top 4 at the end of the Swindell Shield and hosting main semi-final, now being beaten by the eventual Jubilee Cup winners, Oriental-Rongotai. But the scenes there at Houston Park were impressive. This game's at the Petone Rec, and this will be on Huddy Sports YouTube. Our coverage will start roughly around 2:40 p.m, so we look forward for you to be watching that on Huddy Sports YouTube. Going to be going Petone in this one. Riley Higgins is on the bench for the Hurricanes this weekend, so he won't be making an appearance, but the Petone backline will be one to watch, and if they can get going through their captain TJ Clark, they are very dangerous. So that is the fixtures for this weekend in the round 4 of the Swindell Shield. As always, we would like to thank our sponsors, Louise Reddy New Zealand Travel Brokers. If you need any travel advice, Louise is one of the people to go to. She is a fantastic sponsor. This is the 3rd year she's been on board. And right from day one, Mike Pinfold Plumbing and Drain Laying Limited has been here right from the start. When Huddy Sports started to take off, he's been a vital asset. Mike Pinfold, a former Premier referee, who also has rugby players working under his business as well. So give those two a shout and help support their businesses. As always, if you're willing to help us, we're always on the lookout for support here with Huddy Sports. We can promote your live streams, social media pages, websites, support the local community. The most important thing, though, is to keep Huddy Sports for free on YouTube. We want to make sure that we can bring you coverage, but we do need to help out paying for our cameramen, etc., and our graphics department that do the stunning graphics that we do. So if you can help us out in any way, that will be fantastic. Now, tomorrow is Anzac Day. Make sure you get out to any of these services tomorrow, whether it be a dawn service or within your community where there is going to be somewhere out there to commemorate those who fought for our freedom. So lest we forget, get out there for Anzac Day tomorrow. Now, next week's Huddy Hui is going to be Wednesday the 1st of May, same time, 7 p.m, and that looks like it's going to be another bumper episode, that one. So we're really looking forward to the guests we're going to have on next Wednesday. So yeah, so Huddy Sports, we're underway again for season 2024 with plenty more to come. So we look forward to having you watch the coverage on Saturday for the Petone Rec. Until now, enjoy the rest of your week, and I'm Brad Hudson. Ciao for now.